Life is precious. I think we would all agree. But often we find that we take the very things that we do every day in life for granted until something happens in the blink of an eye. Hello, I'm Tom Russo, and this is In a Blink of an Eye, where we discuss stories from ordinary people whose lives are changed in an instant and how they overcame through faith, courage, and determination. Join me on this podcast to find out how and what the stories are. We're joined today by Jessica Emmerich. Jessica, welcome.
Thanks for having me here.
I am so excited. I have so many questions for you, and what I like to do is I want to kind of get a background on you first. So tell us about where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I am from Wisconsin, so
Okay.
I have lived in Wisconsin I think most of my life, maybe half of my life, because
part?
I did
What part?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Are you a Brewers fan?
Of course, I'm a Brewers fan, but I'm not really, I only follow them when they're like
Doing
in
really
World
good.
Series. And then I'll say, yes, I'm a cheesehead, but other than that, I'm not really a big sports person.
Okay.
But I grew up going to Brewers
Absolutely,
games,
absolutely.
and I went to one 2 years ago. So
I had a good friend who was from Appleton many years ago.
Yes, I've been to Appleton.
So,
Yeah, so I grew up in Wisconsin, and I went to college in Wisconsin for my teaching degree. And my husband's job brought us to Texas, oil and gas, and so Louisiana, then Texas. And so I call myself a born again Belle.
okay.
So I'm kind of like, I got my Yankee roots, but I assimilate pretty well.
But now you're a Southern gal. And
I'm
hanging
a Southern gal with a Midwest accent.
Right. Well, transparency to our audience, Jessica is really good friends with a good friend of mine, and that's how we actually met. And she's a true Southern belle herself. So
Yes. I'm faking it. I'm faking it. But I am. I'm still a Wisconsin girl.
well, I understand.
Yeah, I grew up in Wisconsin. I ended up in Texas, and I'm going to be retiring in another year. And so I don't know where I'll end up, but
That's okay. That's
we'll see.
okay. So tell us about kind of what happened and when it happened, because it happened, if I can remember briefly in our discussions, it happened early in your life.
Yes, and so my journey reflects a whole different set of circumstances than yours, because where you are, you have seen the world with two eyes.
Right.
And then you have that loss, right? And you have to assimilate into this new moving through the world, knowing that I could see this, and I don't know what that's like.
Right.
Because what happened to me, I was 2 years old, as all rambunctious 2-year-olds are. They're getting into things, and there was a sharp knife left on the table, and I just bullseye right in the center. Didn't hurt the lid or anything, and I injured the eye, and that started my journey. So, I moved from there. I kept the eye, as many people have injured eyes. And when many people do have injured eyes, I'm not a doctor, but I know from experience, from people I know, that sometimes eventually down the road, it may need to be removed.
Right.
And so I came from a very large Catholic family. We had 7 kids. We're all a year and a half apart. And I think one of my brothers slammed a door in my face, hit my head. And the pressure, I was about 6th grade, and the pressure built up so much that they said, we take it out or it comes out by itself. And so I never left from the emergency room. I never left the hospital until after the enucleation. So that was it. It was like, it's coming out.
So tell me about going back to when you were 2. Was there a lot of surgery? I know you wouldn't remember, but I'm sure you were told. Was there surgery involved at that point?
This is what I recall. is my mother said I was in the hospital for weeks, and my sweet, sweet personality completely changed. Because what happened is every time my mother would leave me, I would incessantly cry
Right.
because I wanted her. And so finally they said,
course.
don't come visit.
Oh.
So by the time I came home, which probably wasn't very good advice, but by the time I came home, she said I was kind of a little witch. Now, the other thing I have to tell you, and I go, I'm not a witch, but the other thing I have to tell you is I also grew up in a family of, throughout my childhood, suck it up. So I have never had the opportunity to like feel sorry for myself.
Right.
It was, you were 2 years old, you knew you shouldn't touch that, and you did. And I'm kind of glad about that because I don't want to put blame on the person that left a knife out with a toddler. It was fine. It toughened me up. It just toughened me up as a kid, even through grade school with bullying and cyclops and
Well,
all of that.
and that was where I was going to next. So you had a childhood that involved some bullying.
Well, but I was tough. So
And that's
like,
okay. I was too, and I was bigger than most of the people. But
yeah, I came from 7 kids in a family, so you know how to hold your own.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I've always had eye problems, but I always had the big, thick Coke bottle glasses, so I always got teased for that.
Yeah, no, so I didn't have glasses for a while. I mean, I prayed for glasses because I didn't like the way my eyes looked. And, now I'm blind without them practically. But so the eye looked black with like a little Harry Potter white slash because I hit the bullseye. If I wasn't blind, I'd probably be a pretty good sharpshooter because I hit that target straight on. So it did not look good, but it did not give me problems until the pressure from, having my head hit. My problems versus other people who have lost their eye and are dealing with, adjusting to being monocular, my problem, although I still, yesterday I clipped the side of the door.
Right.
Because, we're off like 2 to 3 inches, right? So
I get that. It's a depth perception thing, and I think that's something that you and I probably share, even though you've been dealing with it your whole life. I've been having to deal with it recently.
Yes, I cannot tell you. Probably one of the worst things that happened to me like 2 years ago is I'm a teacher and I'm a homebound teacher and I've got to go visit other teachers at other schools. And so I'm in the parking lot. I got to get going. I've got so much work. And I parked, and there was a big truck next to me with the mirror that comes out really far, right? And I get out of my car, and I close everything up, and I'm dashing. I don't move slow.
And you run right into it.
I clipped half of that on my
Bless your heart.
face. My glasses flew off. I walked in going, oh my God, do you have ice?
Bless your heart.
I just clipped half of my face on that mirror of the truck.
So struggles like that have happened probably all of your life since that happened young.
I had 2 incidences yesterday. I hit just maybe like, and I go, ow! I hit it, and then I get in trouble in crowds. And part of it is my fault because I also feel very confident moving through my environment, but I don't know what I don't see.
Well, I agree.
I cut people off. Believe me, I've had dirty looks, the whole thing. That's the whole depth perception thing. That's why I love the blue eye. If I cut someone off or I cut them, I don't pay attention to them, or the basket from church, the basket where you give your
Right.
It comes to you. The usher is holding it, and you're ignoring them because
you can't see it as it's coming.
And you can't always
understand. Your
explain.
peripheral vision, I get it.
Yeah.
I understand that completely.
Some of it's comical, but we were at an in-service the other day, and I ran into a gal because I didn't see her, and I go, sorry.
So share with me maybe a low point in your life
Oh,
where
sure.
you really started feeling down, out, just why me? Because we all go through that. That's a human nature thing.
Yes, and yes, I have I always say what happened at 2 has affected my whole life, front and center, front and center. There is never a day I don't think about my eye. Never a day I don't think about, especially with a prosthetic, how it's feeling. Is there something on it and people see it, just it feels sticky? Or most recently, because when at work, I wear my matching eye. If it turns, because I have a very large implant in there right now, probably too large, but I can't, these surgeries are too horrible and they're scar tissue, you can't redo things.
Right.
And then the eye will turn and the eye is looking the other way, okay? I'm not, and you're just like, oh my gosh, who saw me?
Right, right.
That's gotta look horrific and embarrassing. So, but here comes the low point. So 2 years ago, well, I shouldn't say that, 30 years ago, they had and like I said, your struggle is your vision right now.
Correct.
My struggle was an unhealthy eye socket,
Okay.
which was my huge struggle. So 30 years ago, they came out with a new implant called a hydroxyapatite. And I would tell people out there, and most ocularists will too, if you have to get your eye removed, do not get that implant. Why do they get the implant? Well, it came out and they said, oh, it's this natural material and we can drill a peg into it and that will be attached to the eye and you will have really good mobility. Well, what it caused was infection. You just drilled a
I
hole.
sensed that. I sensed where you were going with that.
Yes, and with an infection comes secretions. Okay,
tell me.
so for 30 years, I'm tearing and I have secretions. Your little thing that you don't know what you have until you don't. So during that time, there was probably a year I could feel every blink. It was like sandpaper. It was terrible.
Right.
And I would get home from work or whatever, and I'd patch or whenever it came
Right.
6 o'clock, and I was like, okay, I can't take it. Patch the eye up. So I moved to Houston, and I saw a new ocularist, and he's like, that's got to come out. And they took part of it out, like the peg and the part that attached, but the hydroxyapatite implant was in there. And so I saw an ocularist, my ocularist said, that's got to come out. So they work with a surgeon. So I asked the surgeon, and the first one was very painful. The first implant removal to get the hydroxyapatite was very, very painful. So I didn't want to do it again. And he said, let's just do drops and try to keep it under control. Well, it never did over the years. And so I've always had to have my little kit and clean it, and I'm always crying. So
I feel that
it's
pain.
just an unhealthy eye socket. And then what happened was I finally needed to get it out. I mean, I said, this needs to come out. And he said, Jessica, I don't want to take it out. If I do, you could have eye socket collapse and I can't fix that and you won't be happy. It was like whole reconstructive surgery. So of course, I'm a little, I want to look nice.
I understand.
I'm like, I don't want to have my face and get it fixed. So this is what happened just 2 years ago. So I dealt with this for 30 years.
Bless your heart. Oh
Again,
my
I come from the family of suck it up. And like my kids, I have 4 kids, they're all like, Mom, I never even knew it was a big problem because we just shut up and take it, right? We just do it. So
Soldier on.
I soldier on, get tough. I mean, everybody's got stuff. Everybody's
does.
got bumps in the road that they have to overcome.
Right.
So anyway, 2 years ago, my good eye, we love our good eye, right? We want
Yes.
to keep our good eye. It's watering, and I have allergies, and so, that wasn't unusual, but the steroids didn't help, the drops didn't help. Well, apparently I had a tear duct issue. And I'm telling you, it took me 2 years to fix it. So you've got one eye, and I can't see. I mean, it is tearing down my face. And nobody on my insurance wants to touch me because I'm monocular. The ocularist, and if anybody needs who's good and who's not, trust me, there's good and there's not. When I walked into his office, because nobody would do it, they want the ocularist. I walk in the office and he's like, well, let me see what's behind this eye. And he's like, this implant's got to come out. And I said, well, the other doctor didn't want to. And he's like, I don't agree. So I was like, I've dealt with this long enough. I'm going to go for the risk. And he was going to fix this at the same time.
So you
Well,
would be
he got
blind.
sidetracked and he never did fix this.
Right.
Every time I got out of surgery, I'm like, did you fix this? No. So that's a whole long story. But I finally found, so in Houston, I started the process of getting this new implant. There was so much damage in there from the hydroxyapatite that it left me without the ability to hold a prosthetic, which is horrible because it's like now I can't even have an eye.
Right.
And I'm going to be wearing adhesive, right, on my face, who knows how long. So I didn't have a lower pocket anymore to support it.
Okay.
So then I had to get another surgery, and they make a lower lid with the membrane of your mouth. It's all very awful, but so I got that done. And so I've had a lot of surgeries. But
So-
anyway, after 2 years, the past 2 years, 6 surgeries, the socket is healthy. It doesn't
Praise God.
It doesn't
awesome.
look like my other eye, which is why I'm going solid, because if I have a matching, it doesn't blink,
Right.
it doesn't close, it doesn't move. I'm just like, you know what?
This is
I'm
it.
I'm
This
just
is
going
what it
with
is.
It is
Well,
what it is. So I just
so-
go with this, and I don't have to worry about the eye. Like, I have come out from such a struggle to, with this eye, complete freedom.
So you feel confident now.
Yes, because who cares if it doesn't blink? They're not looking
Right.
at whether I blink or
Well,
not. They're looking at blue.
And I remember, having conversations with people that have had cancer and lost their hair and were embarrassed to go out. And I've always contended, but now I'm having to deal with something. But I've always contended with them. Who cares? That's their problem. If they don't like you because of your eye or your hair or your arm or your leg or you're in a wheelchair or whatever, that's their problem, not yours, because that's very narrow-minded of someone, right? And then I try to remind myself of that on a daily basis. My daily affirmation with Stuart Smiley or whatever it was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I feel like a 21st century pirate right now.
I wore a patch for.
See, this isn't a patch. This is my glasses.
Oh, okay.
I can't wear a patch because of the infection that I had.
Okay.
It would incubate the infection worse.
Oh, wow. You need to air it out.
So I have to keep it aired out, and so I had to get my glasses with covering. And you got to understand, I wore contacts for 45 years.
That's
so
what I
this is driving me nuts, but it is my new normal. And that's where I was kind of getting at with you. You have such a great personality, and you've obviously tackled all of these surgeries and all of this. What has been your rock? What has been your go-to to get you through it in those low times? Because I know those low times, and I'm not even trying to compare mine to you, but I know those low times.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just our tough Midwest way. And here's the other thing. I mean, truly, I work in special education. This is cosmetic, right? Having an unhealthy
As a
eye
former
socket is
teacher now, as a
physical.
retired teacher, I understand where you're coming from.
But really, I'm worried about. I mean, I'm sure I'm worried about. I was worried about secretions. Blinking was hard and all of that. But when I have a matching eye, I'm fretting about cosmetics at that point.
Right.
So having this is freeing, but I'm sure. I think the lowest point was in the past 2 years. I think when I didn't think I could even support a prosthetic. That was hard. That was hard.
What advice would you give to people, not necessarily just with eye problems, but with whatever malady may have them? Maybe they're ill. What advice would you give them?
Well, of course, your faith is something you can definitely turn to, and I think the Facebook groups are really awesome because I got to where I got to because of the youth of today and how they just own it. So I'll talk about these beautiful souls that I've met. But the other thing I was going to say is that I work with really severe medically fragile kids.
Right.
And this isn't that. So I work with people who can't move their bodies. I have worked with a student who has to answer questions with her tongue, A, B, or C,
Right.
and so I can't give energy. I just don't have the energy to feel sorry for myself.
Well, and you're touching on something that is so important, and I lean on my years as a teacher as well, from knowing that there's always a more difficult situation than what you're in. There's
But your
somebody.
struggle is still real.
The struggle is real, and your struggle is your personal struggle, right? But when you see the world out there, and you know all of the wonderful blessings that are out there, you get to see the beauty of life, and you've really captured that beauty of life, and I love you for that. That's fantastic. Tell me what's next for you. You said you're going to retire soon.
Yes. Well, I wanted to tell you about the beautiful souls I've met along the way for this
Please
journey
do.
because my final part seems to be the last 2 years because
Right.
I've gone through so many surgeries in getting the old implant out and getting where I am and why do I have this blue eye. And so, I'm on Facebook and I think I was on, they have lots of sites for people who have lost their eye and things like that. And so I discovered this gal in Portland, Christina King, and she has a passion for the monocular community. She is an ocularist and she is an artist. She went to art school and she has combined those two because all of our ocularists are artists. I mean, when you have an eye made, they spend hours across the table staring into your eyes. I have fallen in love with more of the ocularists than I can tell you because you spend hours staring at each other.
Right.
It's, and they paint to match. Well, what she does is this last eye that I've had probably my matching eye, I can even, hold on one sec. I can even show you this eye right here has cost me $3,800 out of pocket.
Wow.
Because insurance doesn't really think you should,
Right.
should cover prosthetics, more cosmetic, right? So what this gal does is she says, okay, you want a matching eye? Yeah, I got to charge, thousands of dollars, not as much as others. But she said she has influencers and they raise money and she offers fun eyes for $500. Now you have to get these done. You got to get these changed out. You have to redo them every 8 years.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so she makes fun eyes. I have this cute little pink one.
Nice.
Yes, so I went to Oregon with my twin daughters who are 34, and I've been setting this up for months, and I mean it was down to the wire because I think 2 weeks before I left this summer, I had the final buildup of this eye, or no, not that eye, my regular eye, my matching
Right.
eye. And so I, because she's either got to make the mold because it's custom. It's kind of like if you get teeth done and they put the goop in there, they put the goop
Right.
in your eye and you have a custom mold. Well, I said, you can use my mold. It seems to fit just fine. And she charges $500. I'm never going to spend $3,800 again.
Right.
There's no way. So I had asked her, I said, Christina, I brought my twin daughters, one's kind of artsy, and I said, can my daughters just add a little paint so I can say they, did it too, added to it. And so it was a multiple day appointment. So we came in, the first day she took my eye and she made the mold. And then the second day she came in and she had a mold for the girls and she said, I'm going to let them paint an eye for you. She didn't charge me for the second eye. And so actually the eye I'm wearing right now, my girls, they painted it.
Beautiful.
And I love it even more for that.
Beautiful.
And it was just so special. We spent the whole morning with paints all on the shelf and she showed them how to do it. It was pretty cool.
Joie de vivre.
And so, she has influencers that donate to this one-eyed fund. And so these young people, these 30-some-year-old people, they own it. They are like, this is who I am. I have a disability. And you know what?
It's not going to
nothing
stop
wrong with
me.
that.
It's not going to stop me.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No.
It's okay.
And not only that, we want to not just succeed, we want to thrive. We want to thrive in our life. And I sense that in you. I absolutely sense that in you.
Yeah.
Well, we are up against the end here. I want to absolutely thank Jessica Emmerich for joining us today. But more so than anything else, just know that God is there for you. God is there and He will help. Lean on Him. But more importantly, if you're having problems, everybody has problems. But think about what you need to do to have that joie de vivre that Jessica was just visiting about.
You've got to work it.
You've got to work
You've got
it.
to keep getting answers and finding the way forward through those difficulties.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Jessica.
Yeah.
And if you like hearing uplifting stories of overcoming challenges in life, click the subscribe button. Perhaps you have a story of your own to share, an accident, a sudden loss, PTSD, alcohol, drug abuse, an illness, and you would like to share the journey of overcoming, please contact me at the email shown below for consideration for a future podcast interview. I want to thank everyone out there, especially my family, our military veterans, and first responders who put their life on the line every day. And of course, I can't forget the teachers and the medical professionals who all make the world a better place, one person at a time. But most of all, thank God for all the blessings in our world. We just must make sure that we concentrate on those blessings. Carpe diem and seize the day.